All right, this is always one of my favorite things is going back to my former hometown of Miami. Bienvenido, Gabriela. ¿Cómo estás?
Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Um, I would love to do this all in Spanish, but maybe a quarter of it I could possibly do, but not the whole thing. So on time wise, I'll speak to English. But it's so wonderful to have you on the Leaders Who Care series. I know you are a leader who cares, but we're going to prove it to the world right now that you are. So if you could start by briefly introducing yourself, not what you do yet or any of that stuff, but where you're from originally, where you are now, whatever you feel comfortable talking about your family would be great. Maybe something, and I love this part the most, something that you've never told anybody and you want to reveal it to the world. That's always fun. You don't have to, but share about who's Gabriela.
So thank you, Mark. That sounds like a plan. Looking forward. Always interesting conversations with you. Gabriela Pulido, co-founder of Scalto, born and raised in Venezuela, Caracas, and now based in Miami for the past 8 years. Had to migrate for obvious reasons. And what my what I do, what I love, is gaining clarity with branding,
Okay, I'm going
communication.
to interrupt you because I'm a great interrupter, by the way. You'll find out even more.
Yeah,
No, can you tell us a little bit about your family if you want? Do you have kids? Do you
sure.
have a
Uh,
dog? Um,
I come from a huge family,
mhm.
a family of six, and then any given time, it could be a gathering of 50 people in no time. So you have to reproduce the bread, like as the saying goes. I have four kids. They're my blessing. And then I have one grandchild, which is also amazing opportunity to learn and to see, figure what the he brings to the world, which is only joy. What I do like, and I'm coming from this background, coming from in Venezuela, the case it has not always been this way. I had a beautiful childhood with friends, family, cousins, and it was a very joyful, but it was all purpose driven as well. There's always has been the need to give back, having a grandfather who was ahead of his time in terms of what his model was to I don't know, to give back and to what he said was hacer el bien sin mirar a quién, so do good without looking into whom you're serving. Fact, fun or not fun fact, but fact, he gave houses to each of his employees,
Wow.
just way ahead of his time, early 70s and that time. And what I love is my family. It's one of the things that it's the place of my husband. I've been married for forever since I was 20 years old.
Wow,
And
he got you young, huh?
got me very young. Yeah.
And now you're
So
like what, 29?
almost turning 30.
What were, yeah, it's beautiful you're talking about your kids and your grandchild that just brings joy. And was that your father or your uncle gave the homes? Or was it your father?
My grandfather.
Your
My
grandfather.
grandfather, he was a entrepreneur, somebody, Eugenio Mendoza. He was very known in terms of growing companies and stage in Venezuela. It was growing, scaling, and there was nothing, cement, banking, and universities and whatnot. So even when the epidemic hit of polio, he created their own Hospital Ortopédico Infantil, which is a hospital for curing that disease at that time. So
That's
he was,
amazing. That's
yeah,
that's that's amazing. So
and
when you
it's
were
still going.
no, that's fantastic. Grandparents are the best, aren't they? Generally, you find and stuff just because of the different relationship they have with the kids. So when you were a kid, then you said you had a great life. What were you interested in? Were you a dolls type of girl or a tomboy or what were you into?
I was more the techie part. I had my father. uh, bring me in an IBM and then the Mac SE30. Remember that one? You had to pull it up, and I would take the memories and things of the others, and I would rebuild it and create stuff. And or since we're a family of six, so five girls and one boy. So in my family, there was Vogue, there was Teen, and there was Omni, and there was National Geographic. There was everything that you could read at that point. So I was more on what could be next. And I really liked to explore how things worked from the early stage. So Lego was yes, I had to play with dolls. I had like a hand-me-downs for my sisters, but I was more into Legos and creating stuff.
Very cool. So I guess that's why you went into engineering. You were at the Universidad Metropolitana in
Mm.
Colombia, is that right?
No, in Venezuela.
I mean, in
Mm.
Venezuela, yeah.
I started system engineering at in Venezuela, and then I transferred to Columbia University. I transfer and why systems engineering, and I mean for me it makes like logic and creativities and what way, and having the engineering mindset or scientific mindset was great. When I arrived to Columbia School of Engineering was more like, okay, where I started at computer science, it's like, no, 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 I don't want this. I went to industrial engineering, and one of the perks I had is like I could go to business school courses. I could take business school courses, and that's where I had the engineering and business coming together. Other fact I was part of a lecture that Edward Deming at that point he was giving a lecture like a huge he would come up stage with his nurse uh,
Wow.
and and he would give and for me it was I mean the amazing things that I had. I worked for the DMV, Department of Motor Vehicle, and trying to figure out the way tickets work and like industrial engineering, and that would work in terms of how do you process those. But it was great, an excellent experience in, well, New York for 5 years. And I graduated 7 months pregnant with my second child. So I did that studying. Mhm.
So you were even good at that engineering also.
Yeah,
Um,
engineering
and
made.
that system, that engineering and everything. No, it's interesting because I know a lot of times in colleges they bring the finance people together with the engineering people to become partners in a business. But you said, screw that, I'll just do both of them.
What's funny is that has been part of that logic and science, like arts and science. That's been part of my life, even now, having the creativity, having teams working. We're going to talk about that later, but having teams working from the creative side and the from the design side and from the consulting
Mhm.
engineering side, it's just like the big aha moments. I love that spark when both both parts of brain interact.
Yeah.
And that was done from the onset. I'm very easy. I like identify patterns easily, and that way, okay, if it's either your business plan or it's this your brand, that what I would do. But anyway, from then,
Well, hang on a second. So were you envisioning, what were you envisioning when you were
I
at,
was envisioning, Mark, that I was coming to come back to Venezuela. I was going to go. My family had one of the companies that my grandfather built was in paper company. So I was going to paper company. I was going to manage inventory. I was going to do all these things. And I have two kids. I couldn't go, like it was like 5 hour drive to this plant. So I couldn't do that. And I started saying, okay, what's the best thing that I could use creatively? And then I started at consultancy. Arthur D. Little was in Venezuela. It was McKinsey, ADL, and Booz Allen at that time. So I was an analyst and grew from that to a manager and that stage. Always like I was an expert in balanced scorecard. I was an expert in all these things. And I said, no, 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 no. Once I got into, okay, creative problem solving, but into, there was a media company that had like 50 brands. And so there was the first highlight for me. It was like, if I structure these brands and brand architecture side for this company, this is amazing. So then I got my leader, the president of the company in Venezuela, Arthur Davis, at that time was like, if you really want to go that route, you go get your MBA. So they sponsored my MBA. And I came back with having studied marketing. Marketing is like engineering marketing. It's like, no, 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 marketing was pretty much very interesting for me, eye opener in terms of understanding why people buy, what the psychology behind it, and then how can you make people in our spaces again, our spaces, the need of it. How can you make people think, okay, you need to wash your teeth, you brush your teeth, you need to do this, and things like essential that you take for granted, you have to teach that. So that was great.
So how, because I talked to a lot of people in a lot of countries, how was it like a young woman, entrepreneurial ambition, if you will? You were curious, and, different things, and you have two kids in Venezuela. Um, how was that? I mean, it was, how did you feel about it? And and then you've been to Colombia, so you've been to the States. Um, was there an inflection point? Was there certain things that stood out, aside from politics, I guess, that stood out so much that made you take the move to leave Venezuela?
A couple of things. Yes. From consulting, I went to Future Brand, which they were starting in Venezuela, and I started with branding. And all of a sudden, 2004, they decided to leave. And I was launching 3 brands. And the client said, Gabby, what are you going to do? It's like, my commitment to you, I'm going to stay. So I built my first company out of necessity, I mean, what can I do? And funny because the guys from Future Brand would come and I would take them to this bar, salsa bar. And I had to get all the data from the computers into other spaces so that they were taking the computers back. So it was just crazy. But we launched and we created that was my first play in at entrepreneur. It was great. Created giving back the purpose of the people and giving them the idea they can create amazing brands. It would be American Airlines rebranding. It would be Polar in Venezuela. It would be different companies. And it's like they felt proud that sense of worthiness of the team that I had was amazing. But then I had, yes, an inflection point. I was kidnapped, and in that space, I had two of my children were already in college in the US, and then two were them studying in middle school and high school in Venezuela. And I decided like 3 things. One, nobody could guarantee that that wouldn't happen again. So the safety part was a big issue. The education for them, for me, and I was taught, always have been taught, you can give, I mean, they can take away your car, your purse, but they can't take your education away. So they invested a lot. My parents, and both of them living are amazing. They invested in that, and I'm giving that back to my kids, the education they can't get. So I decided that second, and the third one is opportunities. In Minnesota, there is hyperinflation and everything that we know. So I decided to migrate to Miami. I got my special talent visa, came to Miami and started off and understanding that new country, new space, new dynamic, and learning the business and learning what was happening in that. And one of the things that characterizes me is like I'm super curious. So that Miami Tech was, you were here, I guess,
Mhm.
that 2017, the Miami Tech was happening. So I was like, oh, what is that about? I started interviewing people and it's like, what is going on in this space and how exciting this is. I like to be on that end as opposed to the hope, learned helplessness, which is they're like everything is. I can't do anything about this. This is already the regime is. It was strict. One of the things I went to Vietnam. One time I went to Vietnam. And it's like I can't be here. It just feels like home just because I felt the same sense of confinement, sense of watching, overwatched, and that's happening in my country.
Hmm. Let's get into politics. Do you feel it's happening a little bit right now?
In Venezuela. In Venezuela, what's happening is,
Well, actually, in both places, in Venezuela and even in the United States.
well, I'm not going to get into that, but I know Venezuela. I think people are standing up. They're not afraid anymore. I think there's a movement that Maria Corina, super brave, Maria Corina Machado, just was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, it's a momentum. It's a peaceful. It's what's happening is people. We've been lied. We've been mistreated. We've been. I mean, I don't know who kidnapped me. It was a ransom, in that moment in time. But they took your freedom. They took you had at gunpoint. Once they took my freedom, it's like that was an inflection point to your question. And I don't want to feel that way.
Sure.
And by the way, whoever, I know this is shocking for most, like every time it's like, whoa, you get been kidnapped. It's like the interesting side is not that I was kidnapped, is more the way you need to treat that, in terms of mental health, in terms of what impacted. I didn't take care of it um, that well at that time. And it came back to me with vengeance. So I suffered a severe case of panic attack. It's like, what's going on? And it's like, I was thinking like I was having a heart attack. No, no, it's panic attack. And it's something that I needed to unpack. I needed to treat that moment.
Yeah, it's interesting because, it's been proven that trauma does stay in your body somewhere, your mind, your body, whatever. And unless you complete with it or at least manage it or whatnot, it's going to be there. And I've recently started calling things, we got to find positive trauma that sticks to our body, maybe, rather than all the negative trauma that sticks. And but you're right, I have friends, for example, in Israel that families members were hostages, and you talk to them and stuff, and so people say I can imagine. They mean it sincerely, but you can't imagine really what that feels.
No, and
Thank you.
I mean, there's a book, The Body Keeps a Score. It's definitely true. But to that case, once you take care of it, um, I found the reason why. And it's not the reason why it happened. It just makes sense of what happened. And trying to teach, like for instance, here, women who lead, or places that you can give back to people. It's like, listen, yes, this happened, but it's the way you interact, the way you approach, the way you your response to this. I've been reading a lot in terms of how to deal with that, and then how to tell other people to because migration, it's tough. It's tough. It's when you leave home, you leave
Right?
amazing weather, 80 degrees year round, 40, 50% humidity. It's just like amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
it's home. And people have to learn how to not be defined by bad things that happen, if you will.
mhm.
Also, but yeah, it is a big deal, and it's something you should be proud of, and people, when you get to where you are, from that,
Right,
for
right.
sure. You said you had your first entrepreneurial venture before. You talked about, but you also made the decision to be a co-founder now, switching a little bit here to, um, where you lead both Scalto and Remarkably. And with my name being Mark, I love the name Remarkably, by the way.
Remarkably. It's remarkably.
Yeah, I used to say, "Be remarkable." That was my signature. Be
Yeah.
remarkable, Mark.
Uh,
So how does it feel to be the co-founder of two companies, and what is the vision and mission of each? Are they connected? Are they complementary? Tell us a little bit about them.
So, in terms of escalar alto, scale alto, it's more a creative space. I love to create. I hate to destroy. I like to create. On the creation side, I don't want to go at it alone. So I always have partners that come with me and support me. More on the visionary side, and maybe I need the managerial on the systems and operations side. What the but for me, it's something that goes. Both of them are on the branding field, but one is more on the do it with you, as how do you work with the client, as opposed to do it yourself, which is Remarkly. It's more an AI platform for brand architecture.
Hmm.
But the idea is more, how can I help solve problems creatively for CEOs and entrepreneurs that are pretty much growing. And the brand, for me, I believe in the power of brands. I believe in the power of identity. It really gives clarity, direction, and that's what I try to dissect. To manage people, hybrid, in the office, out of the office, that's both of them are super difficult to do. And that's why I have partners.
Well, that's why you have teams. You know, you can't put five goalies or 10 goalies on a soccer slash football field. You're not going to win. You have to have people, some strikers, some defense, some goalies, things of that nature. So I get
Absolutely.
that. When you're dealing with clients, do you bring both to the table, Scalto and Remarkably, or how do you?
No, I bring Scalto is more on the leading ground. Scalto is more on the s- understand, get into what's the big expensive problem you're solving for, in terms of the client, and what is hurting, what keeps them up at night, all these questions. You have to go deep dive and into why is it, and then why is it, where they want to head. That's one thing. And then the next thing is your brand helping you or blocking your growth? And that is where we come in. It's like, what if we can do this? How can you make this easier? How can you make it look simpler? And it's like, oh, Gabby, it's neat. I could have come up with that. It's like, but you didn't. You didn't come with that name, with that brand, with that strategy, and that's what we do in essence. But what I like to see is when I help, like for instance, entrepreneurs. I do a lot of mentoring, and they go, I have this idea, and they have this platform working. It's like, okay, what's your narrative? What's your story? How do you get people interested in this? And as I go, really have to work on it. Yeah, you have to.
It's interesting you say that someone says, I can do that. I always find that fascinating because you can have like a doctor, an actor, whatever, an athlete, and people look at them, a comedian, and say, well, I could do that. But they don't realize it looks so easy to do because the people doing them are so great at what they do. So they make it look easy to do.
Yeah.
And like you just saying, well, and I see that a lot. Someone says, well, I could have thought of that idea or whatever, but you didn't, or
You
maybe
have
you
you
did
have
and you didn't
seen
do
both.
anything.
Do you remember Art Basel a couple of years ago, the banana hanging banana?
Right.
I could have done that, like, but you didn't.
Yes, I saw three or four paintings in an Israeli museum years ago, and they were all black. And I'm thinking, hmm. I mean, really? And the banana one's a great example. I love that. Didn't he eat the banana off of
Yeah,
them?
well, no,
Yeah.
one of the spectators ate the banana, and they
All
had
right.
to.
So
Yeah,
it's interesting. They say the fourth industrial revolution is AI and technology. Pretty clear. It's going like fast and furious. But a lot of people are saying the fifth industrial revolution is humanity. And I noticed you share about being a movement towards more impactful, scalable brands, and especially for tech startups. How do you balance, and this is part of what we find with leaders who care, how do you balance making for yourself and also for your clients an economic and social impact? In other words, making money and having some purpose and making a difference at the same time.
so I do think that this is an exponential change moment that we're living. The way that AI is reshaping what we're doing is it's doing everything. It's really literally changing my business model, my frame of thinking. But for me, it's not expanding what human is amplifying what makes us human. And in a way of saying, I don't see them getting common sense. I don't see AI getting that empathy, judgment. It might eventually get to somewhere, some that sort, but I see the winning team is people and technology. We are developing AI native things, and we're embedding AI in everything we do. But at the same time, the people, the person needs to be there with. I mean, I had the other day a naming project, and a naming project was like, okay, you have AI generators, and I have like 50 GPTs already programmed for my company. I did that. Like I told you, I was curious. I did that,
I guess so.
and one thing is like, and then all of a sudden I picked up on what the client said, and the other thing is like, why don't we mix these two things and create the name? It had to be done that way, and in a way, I don't foresee the human being replaced. I think being amplified. And my favorite word is amplifying what we do, amplifying humanity. What makes us human is more. It gives us more clarity, chaos. Again, there's a lot of work flops and the MIT article and everything that we've seen, but I think the humanity, like you said, the face humanity, I think we're in it. And the responsibility of human in all the stages, industrial, digital, everything, the human is even more present, even more. I mean, you see people saying, "Okay, great." About I was yesterday advising a fund that invests in AI in health, and it's amazing that the things that it can do. It's like, but yeah, but the doctor that's actually performing is the real hero that's learning from AI, but at the same time seeing that that's not working for this person.
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely. I think I'm hoping, and I think having talked to a lot of AI people that maybe AI is finally the technology that will make more people happy at the end of the day. There will be a lot of layoffs, but maybe we're going to be able to finally, if it's done properly, put people in positions where corporates get involved also, put people in positions where maybe they're doing great work in the community and they have people that are upskilled doing work in the company, but doing things that make us happy rather than just being at jobs all the time. Um, there's
I
a
do
lot of
say
discussion going on around that right now.
I do think that, I mean, we can highlight all the negative aspects of security, safety, and AI. I'm cautious. I'm more on the I prefer to err on the optimistic side,
Me
and
too.
having a happy, I think, amazing. I mean, I can see it for me. I don't know about you, but for me, I've been given like a day back to go for a cachito, a cafecito that I took you in Miami. It has given me some time to actually think and challenge, and I'm impressed, yes. And I always take advantage of it, but I do think it's going to be for good. There's going to be vaccines. There's going to be uh,
Well,
things happening.
AI just discovered a potential cure for Crohn's disease that they didn't know about. I was the first one that I think that's happened, that AI did the research on that. And there was a case where, let's go too far into this, where a couple, the doctors they couldn't have a baby. They couldn't find an egg that was working or something with the couple. They were looking and looking and looking and looking. And apparently after a while, AI actually found two in an hour and they were able to have a kid. And so AI has this ability to do things, especially in healthcare, that are spectacular. And I'm hoping, again, if we do it properly and corporate leaders, not corporates, are willing to maybe play the game a little bit of investing some of the money they're saving because of AI into people doing great stuff in their communities, versus them going on unemployment and somebody's going to have to pay for it.
I do. I again, I love to see communities rebuilt. I'd like to see AI in our countries that people are not in banking scenario. So trying to get that in place. Education is one of the things that we're lacking the most. How to get to that? So I think it's mind-boggling what we can do. Again, we can always turn back to the negative side. But I like your
Stick to
leaders
the
who
positive.
care.
This is a good time to stick to the positive. So,
I like the leaders who care mentality in that space, and I do
that,
care about giving this. Even going for the, I have a 20-year-old, and he and boy, so he's like, okay, I don't know, have you heard about this loneliness and this the epidemic that's happening
real.
at that stage? It's real. And digital, they become so abstracted from reality. It's like, no, no, no. Let's get to work in different spaces. So
Yeah,
it's
you got to find that purpose. It's a big deal, loneliness for sure. So I have one more question. I may have told you this, but in LA we have a slogan saying we got to leave the people wanting more so we can do a sequel. That's the
okay.
big deal. But one more question for now. A client told me way back in 2021, he was describing the year 2020, the pandemic and everything. He said, you know, that was the year that flew by slowly. And I thought, what a great expression. And even now, you hear people talk about COVID like it was yesterday, but also years ago at the same time. And now we're already at the end of almost 2025, which is quite incredible if you think about it. With all that, what are you most grateful for, and what are you most hopeful for?
I'm grateful for the clarity. And you gave me, while you were talking, you gave me like back in time, 2020, I sold my company. I sold my stake of my company in March 1st, 2020.
Wow, right in the
That's what
beginning.
happened. And then I created Scalto March 2020. So I decided to go ahead regardless. So it gave me clarity, it gave me purpose. I'd love to see, like, we created one first podcast webinar was more as I get back to selling. People were so afraid, the mask and everything. Everybody had like this mark with the mask that they were pressing and everything was happening. But Miami was a bit more relaxed, but it gave me space to build. And I like that. I like to have clarity in mind and emotion to be impact in the work we do and the people that we serve.
Sure.
Uh,
And
and for
what are
me,
you most hopeful for?
I'm hopeful for creating more with my brain, creating more innovation, creating more
How about if you create it with your heart and your brain?
part of my brain that could be I'm giving back. I mean, the way, like I told you, this program that we want to create, it came out of necessity, but for my country, but also a way of saying, okay, I can give back, I can put together these things and make something work in terms of healthcare and leadership. But yeah, I think we have a contribution to make and make it worthwhile.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm grateful for having a new friend. Grateful for that. And with a great smile, actually.
Um,
And um, and I'm grateful that you are a leader who cares and you are making a difference out there and you're using your experiences, I think, to make that happen too. And I'm hopeful for the same thing. So keep on caring and keep on being a leader and being a leader who cares.
Yeah, and you keep on bringing all these amazing, putting together all of us together, which is has a great and building community that's growing. I don't know,
It
impressive.
is. So thank you for keep coming and thanks for being on the series.
Thank you.